Yvette, Barbara, I'm going to start with you, Yvette. Highlights and lowlights for the Democrats today. And I want to start with what we just heard from Castro there. You thought, I don't want to put words in your mouth, maybe a swing and a miss there.
You know, let's start with the highlights, because I think there were some good points. I think that Chairman Schiff did a great job of trying to block out some procedural issues that the Republicans tried to raise early on. I think that the testimony that was provided was clear. I think there were some really important facts that were brought out. I think the challenge is the Democrats are still allowing the Republicans to message this thing. Attempted this, attempted that. We want the whistleblower. These are all things that are not relevant, right? And so wanting to make sure we focus on the fact that Taylor gave some compelling evidence that we believe is going to be corroborated with another witness, a staffer who is hopefully going to come forward next week and give some testimony. Focus on those points and don't allow the Republicans to make this about whether or not the money was actually transferred or not. Don't allow them to make this about a procedural issue. None of that is relevant.
And then the lowlights? You think those were them?
You think those lowlights, okay. I think.
Okay, Barbara Comstock, for you, the Republicans. What do you think some of their highlights were? What were they successful in accomplishing, and what do they need to work on going forward?
Sure. First of all, I would like to say, as having represented federal employees before, the two witnesses were the highlight overall for the American people, to hear from them and to know that good people like that are still working in this administration, but also in the government. Highlights for the Democrats, I'd probably say their Democrat counsel was good at having that lengthy questioning and telling the story. On the Republican side, it was a low light because their counsel did not have that same skill and didn't do a good job of whatever their point was. Highlights for Republicans, I thought not attacking the witnesses was a smart move, and highlighting that the Trump administration policy on Ukraine is actually much stronger than Obama's was, and we've provided more aid, which is actually what Congress intended since 2014, and that's actually gone through. Will Hurd highlighted that, as well as Elise Stefanik. I guess low light on the Democratic side, a little bit trying to get the witnesses to be a bit partisan, and I do think that Chairman Schiff has a problem on the whistleblower issue, not because I think the whistleblower at this point isn't that necessary, but he opened the door, and early on in late September said the whistleblower would come forward. He wanted to hear from them, so he set that up, and now he's retreating on that, and it looks like he's got something to hide after he said he wanted him out, and now he's retreating. So the Republicans certainly are going to continue to target on that, whether it's a necessary witness or not. It's a problem for him, because what Schiff tends to do is he overshoots the mark. He raises expectations and he kind of under-delivers, which is why it was good. It wasn't too much of a hearing about him today.
I would say that a lot has changed since then, though. I mean, Trump's insistence, Republicans' insistence that this guy come forward or this woman come forward has probably caused this whistleblower to become even more afraid, right?
No,
and
so
maybe in the beginning, maybe back in September, that sounded like a good idea. This person's probably very worried for their life and their safety, and they have the right to change their mind.
Yeah, and I do agree that whistleblowers should be able to determine for themselves if they come forward. We all voted for that legislation when I guess maybe it was before I was in Congress, but we also did some things while I was there. And that's something that Republicans always supported. When I was a chief counsel, we had whistleblower witnesses that did not come forward, but helped you investigate the case and lead you to evidence. And that's the purpose of whistleblowers, and we should protect them. I'm just making the political point that Schiff provided that opportunity, and the Republicans are going to stick on it.
But as we look forward to the next testimony, which is Friday with the former ambassador of Ukraine, the Republicans' argument that a lot of this is hearsay, how long can they hold that? Because there are so many witnesses they want to call that the White House is not allowing to testify that would have firsthand knowledge. So how long can the Republicans hold on to that argument?
I don't think that's a good point to be making, because it just highlights, well, then let's hear from the firsthand people. Actually, when Congressman Welch, I think it was, said, hey, well, we'd love to hear from the president, I thought he was going to say, well, why don't we talk to Rudy, the guy who started a lot of this? And certainly, he can write an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today. He should be able to testify. Mick Mulvaney went out and did a press conference. As John Bolton's lawyer argued in the filing, it may be that he's already waived his privilege. But I do, and then Bolton is another witness. Again, as I had said earlier, I was surprised that the Democrats didn't focus on those firsthand witnesses, and I don't understand why they're trying to rush this and pass over the firsthand witnesses. That's, from an investigative standpoint, I would think that's what you'd want.
You know, I think it's really interesting that the Republicans, even after this first day of public hearings, still don't have a real defense here. And I think the fact that they're arguing procedure, even opening up the hearings with a parliamentary question, point of order, shows that they didn't come in prepared to actually fight against the actual allegations that are being presented. And so I'm curious about whether they intend to do that. What we know is that if you're arguing procedure, you're probably losing. And so they are going to have to find a real defense here, and I don't think they have one.
Well, I think their defense is the money went through. So no harm, no foul. The money was done. Now, that's why, how did the money actually get unleashed?
Right.
You know, when it was stopped, that's the story we still don't know. And the Democrats didn't focus on it much because it seems like they just want to rush this through because they're on a certain timetable. And I think that's a mistake.
They're on a timetable, but this is for the public. They want to make sure the public knows exactly what's going on. They can understand it and make their case.
If you have a John Bolton, a Rudy Giuliani, or Mick Mulvaney, that is going to be must-see TV. I don't know after today. I mean, I think you heard a lot. Both sides, observing today, said it doesn't seem like they moved the ball. We'll see from the public. And if everyone's just going to their corners and it's still a partisan thing, then that's not going to change the dynamic in the Senate. Especially in the Senate, that's the most important dynamic.
Yeah.
All right.
And I would agree with her. I mean, I've talked about the fact that I think that Chairman Schiff can be stronger in compelling testimony and compelling actual evidence
and
to
moving
be
the
brought
court
forward.
cases.
Not just saying the fact that they're not releasing records or allowing witnesses to testify shows obstruction, but actually forcing people to come forward and actually comply with those orders.
And we'll end on consensus here at ABC News Live. All right. a point both sides can agree on. Guys, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.